Year after year during this time, we see Easter lilies fill the grocery and home improvement stores. You've probably seen these beautiful trumpet-shaped flowers, but do you know their history? These flowers are one of my favorites because my mother would associate them with me when I was younger. The Easter lily is native to the Ryukyu Islands in southern Japan. Lily bulb production was centered in Japan and in the southern US in the late 1800s and on, but in 1941 during World War II the Japanese source was cut off. This resulted in the increased value of the lily bulb. Soon, growers in the U.S. boomed, and by 1945 there were about 1,200 growers from Vancouver, Canada to Long Beach, California. This has since reduced in size, leaving only about 10 growers in a small region of Oregon-California border. Today the region is called the Easter lily capital of the world, where over 95% of the world's potted Easter lily bulbs are produced. Easter lilies are a symbol of the resurrection of Christ, which is celebrated during Eastertide. The lily has always been highly regarded in the church, as Jesus himself referenced the flower, saying, "Consider the lilies how they grow. They toil not, they spin not, and yet I say unto you, that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these." Moreover, according to pious legend, after Jesus' death and resurrection, some of these beautiful flowers were found growing in the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus went to pray the night before his crucifixion. Legend has it that these flowers sprang up where drops of Jesus' sweat fell as he prayed. Legends surround the Easter lily. The Archangel Gabriel is often depicted giving the Virgin Mary a lily when telling her that she would conceive a son by the power of the Holy Spirit. Thus the flower became associated with rebirth as well as a symbol of loss, which is why the lily is used in funerals to connect the departed to God. It was told that the lily sprang from the tears of Eve when she was expelled from the Garden of Eden, but it was yellow until the day that the Virgin Mary stooped to pick it, thus symbolizing the role of the new Eve in restoring to the world the innocence lost by Eve. The Easter lily is a very challenging flower to grow and care for. It is very attractive when it's in bloom, but it's difficult to cultivate year-round, and you may have troubles getting the flower to rebloom. You know when the blooming is over because the color begins to fade. They are harvested in the fall and then packed and shipped to greenhouses. They are often planted in pots and forced under controlled conditions to bloom for the Easter holiday. The average gardener isn't going to go to the extremes to get their lilies to bloom out of season, but this species is a welcome addition to the summer garden when grown in ground. They can be planted in masses to create a beautiful border or interspersed with other perennials in mixed borders. They are great additions to specialty gardens such as white gardens, cutting gardens, or fragrant gardens. Easter lilies do best in full sun and well-drained soil. Place the bulbs or plants 12 to 18 inches apart, with the bulb about 3 inches deep. Mulch around the plants to insulate the soil, or plant a low ground cover of shallow-rooted, complementary annuals or perennials between the lilies to cover the ground. Deadhead after the blooms wither by cutting off the flowering portion of the stalk. The leaves will remain green and attractive through the growing season and turn yellow in the fall. Cut the entire stem back to the soil level when it has died back. The straight upright stems of lilies look stunning when rising from lower mounding or clumping companions such as hardy geraniums, ferns, and hostas. Lilies also grow well with salvias, wormwood, asters, lilac, dill, cosmos, marigolds, pansies, snapdragons, zinnias, and more. Easter lilies has been used for generations by herbalists for medicinal uses. The young green leaves are edible, raw, or cooked. Older leaves become fibrous. Tubers are also edible, raw, or cooked, and have a nutty flavor. Young tubers are best, though the central portion of old tubers is also good. Steam or boil the tubers as a potato substitute or toss them raw onto a salad instead of croutons. The flowers can be eaten raw or cooked. The petals are thick and crunching, with a nice sweetness at the base because of the nectar. They taste somewhat like fresh peas.